Welcome to the Prophecy Club. We're going to continue talking about if the tribulation has in fact started, what should we be seeing? Now, I'm going to cover several things today I think you'll find very fascinating, but there's something in my heart that just I haven't reached the point to where I can release and say absolutely positively we're in the tribulation. I know I've got some emails. By the way, thank you for sending your emails. Thank you for sending information to us at askstan@prophecyclub.com. It's almost like I'm waiting for some big event to hit. Something that will go and pop all of the bubbles of the pre-tribbers. And I want some event to where there's no question it's hit. But I'm going to show you that there's a lot of good reasons for saying the tribulation has started, and we're going to cover some of those. Now, I know we have some new people that haven't been listening to Prophecy Club for a very long time, so let me give you just a brief background first, what we're talking about. Okay, so the tribulation is actually 7 years long, which is, remember the audible voice told me the seals play over 7 years and then conclude out here, which is all screened for you. But get my book, Secret Door to Understand Bible Prophecy, or even better yet, get the Watchman's Package, which you get 2 foot by 3 foot, these 2 big charts, great big. Put them on the wall, refer to them all the time. It's wonderful. As a matter of fact, they just called me from the office and said we're about out of them. So not to worry, we're placing another order, but nevertheless. Anyway, so the 7 seals play over 7 years and conclude at the 7th seal. The 7 trumpets play over 7 months and conclude at the 7th trumpet. The 7 vials play over 7 days and conclude here off camera where you can't see, off at Feast of Trumpets. They all conclude on or about the same day. Now, what we want to be concerned with today is the seals here, because I've got 2 people. One person says the first 4 seals have been opened. Another person says the first 5 seals have been opened. And I have long thought that it's not going to be 1 seal per year, and that's not what the voice told me. The voice simply said 7 seals play over 7 years. And I've long thought that we would probably see 2 or 3, I was hoping it wasn't 4 or 5 open, but it may in fact be that they are already opened. As a matter of fact, we've got 3 voices now that say that we are in the tribulation. I'm still fine. I'm wrestling with actually saying we are yet, but we will see. Okay, let's go on. Next thing is from here to, again, off chart over here. From here to here is the last 7 months. Now, here's another chart. This is dealing with the last 7 months, except for from here over to here is the last 7 months. Now, with that in mind, we're talking about this. We're talking about the last 7 years. That's the tribulation. Now, from here, the last half of the tribulation, from here to here, is called the time of Jacob's trouble. And that's been confirmed by prophecies too. Byron Surley had this. He's from You Be Ready. He says the first 5 seals are open. I read this a week or 2 ago, but I'm going to tie it together with some other things it's important to refresh before we get to the other things. My son, do you see the deception going on in the world and the government and my church? Men deceiving men with lies. We are a nation of liars. Men deceiving my body to believe lies. I tell you now that deception is the rider on the white horse. It is being fulfilled now. Okay, well, I'm going to take issue with that. I think the Bible says that the rider on the white horse was given a crown and went forth conquering to conquer. So my question is, does God give crowns to devils? Very important question. If you can answer that, then you know who the white horse is. So back to my question. Does God give crowns to devils? No. Now, Satan might, but we know that God gives crowns to his servants. So in that the white horse is given a crown, went forth conquering to conquer? No. This is an angel of the Lord. Now, deception might be part of it. I mean, he's going forth to conquer and to conquer. So he's starting war. The white horse is an angel of God starting war. Let's go on. Do you hear wars and rumors of wars all around the world? I tell you now that wars will continue until I return. And America and our allies will feel war on their soil. This is the rider on the wet red horse, and he will not stop until I return. All we know is the rider on the red horse is given power to take peace from the earth, that they should kill one another, and to him was given a great sword. Again, war. Now, if we are in the tribulation, we would be seeing war. I think it's looking at war beyond Russia attacking Ukraine. I think that's a mop-up operation. That's cleaning up. That's trying to clean up Ukraine, which is where all the Moloch and Baal worshippers are headlined out of, or headquartered out of. Let's go on. Do you hear persecution of the saints? Your brothers and sisters being tortured, imprisoned, beheaded, shot, electrocuted, burned, ripped apart, and blown to pieces? I tell you now, that is the fifth seal which was opened. I do not see our brothers and sisters being tortured, imprisoned, beat up, shot, electrocuted, burned, ripped apart. I don't see that yet. Now, yes, I know that's been going on for centuries, but I don't see that in mass yet. So I'm just telling you my opinion here. I'm not trying to criticize another brother here. The persecutions will only grow worse, and many that are truly mine will die in the hands of the tormentors. This will continue until I return. If you look, I mean, just like I got some papers, I just put them out of the way, from the bank. And the bank says, we want you to answer all these questions about who you are, how your ministry started. Of course, it was business is what they call it. Where does it started? When did it start? And they ask all of these questions. And I'm thinking, I don't know that the bank really needs to know all of that information. I put the ministry money in there, and it should be the ministry's business about how we started, when we started, where we started, and where we send our money. We should not have to report to the bank. It's just like we should be able to drive down the road and not have cameras take pictures of our license plates. Hey, I got to tell you. So the wife needed something from the grocery store. It'll just be a minute, just wait in front. Fine, so I'm waiting in front. This car was parked there, and it had these two devices on it, aimed out like this. One aimed to the left, and it had a grill. It looked like a police car. And I sat and I watched it. Then I saw the lights underneath the grill. I thought, that's a police officer. Well, when I see a police officer, I like to go over and say, thank you for your service. I appreciate what they do. So I got out of the car. I walked over. He was right in front of me. And I said, thank you for your service. He looked up and said, oh, no, I'm not a police officer. I mean, he used to be a police officer. I'm not a police officer anymore. And I said, well, car sure looks like one. He said, no, I work for it. I won't say the name of the company. But he said, these are what I sell to police officers, police departments, and things like that. This is a demo truck. I said, well, you want to tell me what these two things are that look, just a box about yay tall, about that big, one aimed this way, one aimed, you want to tell me what those boxes are? He said, oh, yeah. He says, those are license plate readers. I said, really? They read every license plate going down the road? He said, absolutely. I said, so police are reading all of our license plates? He said, well, the ones that get this, they do. He said, but actually, most of the ones that get these are tow trucks. I said, tow trucks? He said, oh, yeah, they get $500 for every repossessed vehicle they could repossess. And so they drive around with these on, checking every license plate that passes them. And if a license plate passes them that is on their repo list, he said, they don't have to turn on lights. He said, they just follow them. And finally, when they park, they pick up the vehicle. They make $500. Now, I say that because, brothers and sisters, we are being tracked. Here, I got another one. I got an email. I tried to log on to a relatively new email at gmail.com. I didn't set it up. Someone else set it up for me. And it kept saying every time it would go out and check my email, it was saying, we want you to link your Gmail accounts together. Well, I had two other, one really, really old, one it's just I call it a junk account. In other words, if somebody wants an email, I don't want to get an email from them, I give them this email. It's just a junk email. But they wanted me to link all three of these Gmail accounts together. Why? Because they want to know who you are. The truth is, The best thing to do is, yes, be prepared as you can be. Prophet Leslie was told, tell everyone to get prepared, but understanding that no one could prepare for every eventuality. Even if you had the money, you still wouldn't know what to do or where to live. Or you just wouldn't you? So at the end of the day, we just have to trust the Lord. And at the end of the day, he has said he will not put us through any kind of a test, that with it, he will also give us a way of escape. Meaning, he is not going to put us into a test that we will always fail. Anything he puts us into, there is a way to succeed in that test. Dimitri, getting his fingernails pulled out, things run under his fingernails, hands slammed in the door, put on the electric chair twice. God knew that he could take that. Matter of fact, I'll tell you another little story. So one night in my prayer closet, this is a while back, and I said, Lord, it's not exactly fair. I said, I would love to have some of the information coming to me that you gave to Dimitri Dudeman, because I want to tell the people. And so it's not exactly fair that Dimitri lived in a communist. I mean, I know this is a little warped thinking. Dimitri lived in a communist country, and he could be tested and beaten and tortured, and so he could have such a close relationship with you. And you think God can't talk? Bub, he sure talked then. It wasn't an audible voice, but boy, I knew what he said. He said, you can't handle it. Then my mind turned back to the time playing racquetball. I got hit on the back of my hand, passed out. I have a very low threshold of pain. If I get pain that is too much above normal, it just like light switch, I just turn off. And that's what the Lord told me. He says, you can't handle it. Now, the point I'm trying to make is, whatever situation we find ourselves in, we're only in that situation because we can be successful. He's not going to put us in situations saying, ha, 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 they're going to lose their salvation. No. If we're in that test, it's because we can be successful in that test. Now, let's go on. The persecutions will only grow worse. I agree. But, beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that a day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is one day. Now, I've got 3 scriptures here that are all talking about 2 days. Now, when everything in the Bible repeats, there's nothing new under the sun. That which was is that which shall be. So when it says after 2 days is the feast of the Passover. All of those verses you see there are basically, in my opinion, saying that from the birth of Jesus to the return of Jesus is going to be 2 days. We want to say, okay, Jesus died in 28 AD. So if we add 2,000 years, that means this whole thing is up in 2028 AD. So then if you subtract 7 years from it, that means the tribulation starts in 2021. I understand. Also, then the Apophis, a stadium-sized meteor, is supposed to arrive Friday, the 13th of April, 2029, and that is probably the first trumpet. And that may mean the tribulation may have started in 2021 or 2022. I think it's like this. So did the tribulation, is it going to run from 2021 to 2028 or 2022 to 2029? Well, the problem is I don't think we can calculate exactly 2,000 years. I've been doing this prophecy stuff for a long time. I cannot tell you how many nights I've stood up with calculator in hand, and I've made notes, and I've tried to figure out the movements of the sun and moon and the stars, and we've had speakers on that. And, I've studied just about everything out there, trying to figure this thing out. And the real truth is, only the Father knows. And Jesus keeps giving us delays. But at the right time, one of these times, the Father's going to say, that's it. Whether the tribulation has started yet or not, I don't know for certain. But one thing I do know for certain, if it hasn't started, don't hold your breath. It's getting really close. One of these years, it will start. And let me back up to what I was showing you now. Then you look at Lazarus, and you ask yourself, wait a minute, has anyone come back to life since Jesus' day? Well, people would say Lazarus did. Well, the Bible says here, he says, therefore his sister sent unto him, saying, Lord, behold, he whom thou lovest is sick. When he had heard, therefore, that he was sick, he abode 2 days still in the same place where he was. Why did he say 2 days here? Why does it say 2 days here? I think it is referring to 2,000 years, but you can't count the delays. So it's saying that Jesus is delaying 2,000 years. The church age is 2,000 years. And at the end of that time, he'll return. But again, you can't count the delays. We don't know the delays. John 11:11, these things said unto he after he had said to them, our friend Lazarus sleeps, but I go that I may awake him out of his sleep. And that's what he's going to do to all of us eventually one day, except for the few people that are left alive on the earth. This is Mary speaking. She says, thy brother shall rise again. Yeah, I know he'll rise again in the resurrection at the last day. That kind of destroys the pre-trib rapture, doesn't it? He said unto her, I am the resurrection and the life, and he that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. Believest thou this? Yea, Lord, I believe that thou art the Christ, the Son of God, which should come into the world. Now, what's this saying? It's saying that we are getting close to these 2,000 years being up. I don't know that we can say it for sure yet, but I can say for sure we're getting very close. I've got some more. Let me skip on over here. If we're in the tribulation, we would expect to see the confirmation of the covenant. I'm going to talk about that. We would expect to see that at least the first seal, and perhaps more, is open. We would expect to see the Euphrates River beginning to dry up at least, unless it could happen like overnight. Furnishing of the temple found. The Ark of the Covenant found. And I think it was 1982, Ron Wyatt said he found that. I want to say it was like May 2nd, 1982, at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. 10 Commandments found. He found the 10 Commandments inside the Ark of the Covenant. The tabernacle has, possibly been found. I'll say it that way. And we would also expect to see wars start. We would also expect to see many false prophets. Man, I tell you, I get all these emails sent to me. By the way, thank you for sending emails. And thank you for sending things that you're not sure about. I mean, that's my call, is to understand all visions and dreams and showing of hard sentences, dissolving of doubt, like Daniel. But these days, the internet is alive with people that think they're hearing from God. Now, never mind they have no training. Never mind they don't know what they're talking about. They haven't been doing it very long. And just from their age, Leslie teaches a school of the prophets, and you hear her prophesy very seldom. Matter of fact, she tells her school of the prophets that if you stay in the spirit too long, you will start hearing from the wrong spirit. So these people that come up with a prophecy just about every day or two or something like that, they're staying in the spirit too long, and you can expect to start seeing them get off, and that hurts their ministry, hurts their credibility. Anyway, yes, we can expect to see false prophets, and they have arisen, and they're rising more. We would also expect to see the love of many will wax cold. Boy, I don't know where you live, but over the last couple of years, it seems like the California drivers have moved to Dallas, and they brought their parking lots and put them up on our freeways, because our freeways around the DFW area are just packed now. And I have noticed a marked increase in aggressive drivers. And for the first time in my life, I understand what they mean when they say, what do they call them? Road rage, where they're shooting each other. Tell you an example. So I'm in the left turn lane, and I'm about to turn in to go play racquetball. This other guy pulls across 3 lanes, gets right up, and I've been waiting there for a long time. Gets right in front of me, and he almost hits me because he was going first. He was not, and I felt like saying, you know what? You're in Texas now, and in Texas we drive friendly. And in Texas we are considerate of each other, because he was not considerate. So has the love of many waxed cold? I don't have to tell you. You know that. Ron Wyatt said when he was in a cave, which he found the Ark of the Covenant, and I have been with Ron Wyatt in a cave, and he said that the entrance to that cave was within a stone's throw of where we stood. That was in 1991. No, I have not been in the cave where the Ark of the Covenant is. I have not seen the Ark of the Covenant. I have not seen the 10 Commandments. I will tell you this. In my home in 1989, when we were living in Omaha, Ron Wyatt stayed with us in our home. He didn't want to, but I said, no, 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 no. I want the anointing in my house, brother. I said, I want you to stay in my house. So he came to our house, and while he was there, he told us what the Ten Commandments looked like. He said they were made of red granite. As I recall, he said it's about this size. I don't know if you can see, but I mean, what was that? Probably 18 by, maybe 18 inches by 18 inches or something in that ballpark. And he said, but if you were to take a warm pan of butter, take your finger and just like you're signing a check, he said that's what it was like. It was literally written with the finger of God that was fire, and as it touched that red granite, it melted down into it. In other words, when you go up, it would leave a little ridge. When you cross the T, it would leave a little ridge. He said, I can tell you this, when you see the Ten Commandments, he said, one day everybody on earth will be able to get a replica copy of them. When you see them, there will be no question. Nothing on earth could have created this. This literally was made by the finger of God. And of course, there was two of them. So anyway, when he was in the cave where he found the Ark of the Covenant, he says that the angel came into the room. He said, God bless you and the work that you're doing. But he said he was told that when man's 10 commandments, this is really, really big. If you want to know what the confirmation of the covenant is, this is it. This is the covenant right here. Man's 10 commandments. When they release man's 10 commandments, God will release the real 10 commandments. Remember I told you August the 8th of 2015, Saturday night, Lord, I don't have anything to say for the sermon tomorrow morning. What do you want to say? And I heard words, I promise. It said, this is the time of miracles. As the judgment hits, so will my miracles. Miracles like no one has seen, going all the way back to Adam and Eve. You tell them, I will never leave them nor forsake them. Here's the point, I'm going to meet the devil inch for inch, step for step, pound for pound. Everything he does, I'm going to meet him. Means when the devil pulls out his man's 10 commandments, as they just did, God is going to reveal his original 10 commandments. So it may be here before long, the Ark of the Covenant is going to come out. It'll come out in God's good timing. But he is going to meet the devil inch for inch, step for step, pound for pound, everything he does, he's going to meet him. He also went on to say that God has put enough evidence under the earth to prove his word, and before he brings final judgment on the world, he will release these truths to prove his word. Now, when man's 10 commandments were released, as they were released here, the 18th of November, I believe was the date, now we can see that the Antichrist could come forward and confirm them. But again, they could sit around for 20 years before they're confirmed. We don't know. So again, I'm just not ready to totally say the tribulation started. But let's go on to what I have about the 10 Commandments here quickly. John 5:43 says, I've come in my Father's name, you receive me not. But another will come in his own name, meaning the Antichrist, and him you will receive. This says activists smashed tablets atop Mount Sinai to launch faith-based climate push. So how do we know that this is the covenant? Because this is the 10 Commandments. The foundation for Abrahamic, Moses, the Jesus, the whole Christian foundation. The foundation is the 10 Commandments. So they made 2 sets of green tablets, which they took up to what we know as the false Mount Sinai in Egypt, because on October the 8th of 2022, I climbed about 40% of the way up Mount Sinai. I have been there. I have seen 13 different signs of evidence showing that the one in Saudi Arabia is the real Mount Sinai. So they climbed up with these 2 tablets and they broke them, and they even have on there, I think it was broken signs. Now that's very, very big. But then Jerusalem faith leaders signed the Jerusalem Climate Declaration. That's what they're calling it, the Climate Declaration. In addition, an Orthodox Jew has helped them to bring in these red heifer miracle sparks, talk of rebuilding the temple, which means animal sacrifice could start. So all of a sudden, here we are with a lot of signs saying we are in the last days. So here they've now broken the new man's 10 Commandments, saying we need a new set that is made by man. Then the faith leaders agree to that. There's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 different faith leaders from around the world agree to those man's 10 Commandments. Then all of a sudden there just happens to be red heifers show up in Jerusalem. That is what is needed for them to start animal sacrifice. Matthew 24, Jesus speaking said, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place, run to the hills. That's the day that he also, Daniel says, they will stop the animal sacrifice to cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease. All of a sudden, they haven't had red heifers in Israel for 2,500 years. All of a sudden, two of them have showed up in Israel. Homemade energy crisis, another refinery owned by Chevron goes up in flames, sabotage of oil infrastructure. Well, how does that say we're in the tribulation? Because food is going to get scarce. Remember, the black horse, had a pair of balance in his hand, and he heard a voice from the four horns of the altar say, a measure of wheat for a penny, 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. That is what it's talking about. They're on purpose, by design. The Molochs are shutting down our food supplies, our energy supplies. This is a man-made, man-caused problem. Why? Well, it may be because we're in the tribulation. In addition, there's now 600 Levites that are now rehearsing worship songs for the third temple on the Temple Mount steps. Okay, this has probably been going on for 20 years. 2 or 3 people here, 5 or 10 people here. But I've never heard of 600 of them writing new worship songs because they believe that the third temple, the temple that the Antichrist is going to go into and set on the Ark of the Covenant, the golden throne of God, and proclaim himself God. I've never heard him say this. And I've got some more reasons why the tribulation may have started. What do you need to do? I'm going to suggest you go to Joseph's Kitchen and get yourself some food. I'm going to suggest you go to cornerstoneassetmetals.com. Get yourself some gold and silver. I'm going to suggest you go to EMPShield.com. Use the promo code PROPHECY because it helps your Prophecy Club. Get you a little device that fits on your car, one fits on your house, so that when a nuclear event happens in your area, your car still starts. Your computers still turn on because the EMP has been stopped. I'm going to suggest that you start acting like this stuff is real and get prepared. Why? So you can survive it? No. So you can have an answer when people say, how come it is you have food? How come it is this didn't hit you? Because I got prepared. And then you're going to start sharing Jesus with them.
As we celebrate the season, let Joseph's Kitchen make it memorable with healthy, homemade, whole wheat bread. I'm Leslie, owner and founder of Joseph's Kitchen. Our goal is to help you live a more happy and healthy life.
At Joseph's Kitchen, our ingredients are ready for easy, everyday use, but are also designed for long-term storage, making them a wonderful holiday gift for you or a loved one. Go to josephskitchen.com or call the number on your screen today.
Be sure to ask about our new spreadable honeys.